So what's up guys, I'm back. As you can see, my beautiful blonde angel hair was shaved off by myself, so it's gone. Don't cry, don't be too sad. What is this video about? Invoices. Pretty boring topic, I know, but I work with a lot of freelancers and pretty much every single one struggles to even send any invoice. And if they send an invoice, it's usually an invoice that doesn't help me at all and doesn't do anything good. So every freelancer should know how to write invoices. I'm not a tax attorney. Obviously, I have a tax attorney, so I assume I know enough to give you a good direction. Still, if you start earning money, you should get a tax attorney yourself so you do things right. But I think I can lead you into the right direction. Especially Germans love rules and stuff, so I'm going to show you the German type of dealing with invoices. So if you follow the German way, it's probably going to work out quite well. So let's jump right into how to write an invoice. So this is what a German invoice looks like, but all invoices in the EU are probably going to be very, very similar because they follow pretty much the same laws. So let's start. What does this invoice contain? Of course, this is kind of like a letter. So your name and your address. And don't ask me why in Germany it's necessary and law to make your home address public. So if you have a company, it's going to be the company address. If you're just a freelancer, it's going to be your home address. Same goes for the client name. If the client is like your neighbor or like just a normal person, not a company, you have to add their home address. It's very important in Germany. So if you scam or whatever, the police can knock in your door. I don't know, but yeah, that's very important. In your country, maybe not necessary. In Europe, I'm pretty sure it's always necessary. So this is how, just a basic letter, basically. Next is your company logo. I'm not sure if it's necessary, but every invoice pretty much has it. So just add it. If you don't have one, no one will kill you that you don't have a logo. So it should be fine, but just add a logo if you have one. Next is Rechnungsnummer. That's just the number of the invoice. Or what does just mean? Actually, this is very, very important. This is like the main ID of the invoice. Every invoice needs an invoice number and not any number. It can kind of be any number, but it's important that it counts up. So next invoice will be 9, next will be 10, and I have it year 2021 and month February, and this is the invoice number. So in February, this was my 8th invoice that I wrote. So it's easy to track back, see if one is missing, if one invoice got lost or someone asked about an invoice. This is the main ID. So in any country you are, I'd say an invoice number is like always necessary. Like there's no way around this, because even if I transfer money, I have to add an invoice number. So this is like for any country, I'm pretty sure necessary. Next, also pretty necessary, is when you wrote this invoice. So when was this made? Next, also pretty important. I think this is a new law in Germany. I don't remember this being necessary, but it is necessary now. So just from when to when you worked. So here I worked from the 15th of February till 18th of February. So that's just the range of work, also necessary. This is not necessary. I started using this. This is just the client ID. So if you start to have a lot of clients, you don't just want to name them by names and company names. Sometimes it's easier to just have IDs. So this client is ID'd with 1004. Just, yeah, basically just for organization. So here you have the title of the project or invoice. I just always add the invoice number because this is just important for transferring money and everything. That's why I just put it here really fat, but you could also write the project name here. Next is just a little nice text of like, thanks for booking us and your trust in us. And with this is basically what we did and what you have to pay for now. So you can write whatever. You can probably Google some text. You can also leave this away. It doesn't really matter. Next, this actually does matter. So projects are not called projects. They're actually called positions. So animation can be one position. Modeling can be one position. So first is animation, second will be modeling, whatever. So you have positions. So the client can say, oh, position number 2, something's wrong or something's right, or can you add more or whatever. You always talk in positions and not in animation. But yeah, next is what is this position? So you can, usually it's just a project title. I rarely have like 10 positions, only if the client really wants a project split up. Then I do like every single position, but usually I just do one position and add the project title. Next is how much of this thing. So this project was done once. This can be an hour wage. This can be, one video, one image, just the amount and how much this amount costs. So one time, 169 euros equals 169 euros. 2 would be the double of this, and then you would write the double here. Next is the sum of all of this. So I've just got one position, one project, that's 169, but you would add all, of course, and write the addition or the sum here. So it's also 169. Next, kind of important, in Germany and all of EU, there is one tax, I'm not sure what the English name is, but just like the standard tax that everyone pays. If you go to the supermarket and buy an apple, you're going to pay this tax. It's 19% in Germany, so you add the 19%, but it's important to not just add it down here to the 210. You have to separate it. So you say, this is what I get. This is basically what the state gets. So you split between your money and tax money, and then you add it up. So this is what the client pays. 201, the client pays, but the client will actually get this money back from the state, the 32, and I will pay it to the state. So basically we trade through this tax. But it might be a bit different in your country, but always pretty much the same, I can imagine. At least EU, as mentioned, I'm pretty sure is exactly the same. And then a little text, yes, send me the money, please, quick, because I'm starving. And don't forget the invoice number, very important when transferring the money. That's basically what it says. And here I'm saying when he has to transfer the money. It doesn't really matter. Here I always just write right away. I don't mean right away, but you have to write something. And then just thanks, Damien. At the bottom, contact information, also necessary in Germany, telephone number, email, even though I think in Germany, I think one or the other is also fine, but I always have both. I'd say most have both. Your web page, if you have one. Now, a bit more important, you might not have this, but in the EU, you have to have this, and that's a tax number. So the one on the bottom is the German standard tax number. It looks very German, just numbers. And this is my German tax number. The international tax number is VAT, and I get this automatically. So if I have the German tax number, I get this automatically. It's called DE, blah, 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 some number. This is good for the EU. This number is very important because if you have a business expense, you get tax back, and online, it's not always that easy. So online, if I have a business expense, for example, on Amazon, I pay minus 19%. So I get everything I buy for my business on Amazon, I get cheaper, 19% cheaper, thanks to this, actually. But you can also do the detour. If you don't have this number, you can buy it on Amazon with tax and then basically get the tax back, but it's a bit annoying. It's always easier to have this number and just add it also for the invoice, just good for tracking, but not necessary. This is the international number, this is the local number, but it's good to have both, especially as a freelancer working online. Next, bank information. So what bank are you at? Maybe your name, whatever, in your country. IBAN, BIC. I don't know if this is in every country. EU for sure will be like this. So yeah, just add your bank. Otherwise you won't get any money. I'm not sure if PayPal is accepted in Germany. Maybe. You would have to also look into that stuff in your country. But as mentioned, don't stress yourself too much. Just start earning some money with a half-assed invoice. And this is not half-assed. This is a real invoice. So if you do it like this, you're going to be pretty good already. But once you start earning money, use that money to get a tax attorney and do it right. So you made it through this boring but important video. Great. Keep in mind, this 19% tax is just the German tax. For example, France, I think, is 20 or 21. I don't know, but every country has a different tax amount. Also keep in mind, if you work from your country for a foreign country, so if I work for France, I'm not 100% sure. I would also have to ask my attorney. But as far as I know, I would not pay the French tax, and the client will not pay the German tax. So actually, I would invoice without tax. Also, there's a thing you can Google called reverse charge. So in case you work for different countries, maybe look into that, because it can get very complicated very quick if you start taxing in different countries and not only in your own country. Otherwise, how do you calculate this tax? So if you have 10 euros, I don't have it popped up. Maybe I can do it in my head. Yeah, so if you have 10 euros, you worked for 10 euros, then you multiply it with 119%, because in Germany it's 19% tax. So you will get a brutto with tax, 11.90 euro. Yeah, so 10 euro is without tax, 11.90 is what the client pays, and 1.90 is the tax amount. So that's what you have to have on the invoice. So 10 euro multiplied by 119%, then you get 11.90 euro. If you have 11.90 euro minus netto, so minus 10, then you have €1.90. So that's what's left. That's the tax. You have to split this up so it's clear for everyone to look into. So how do you create this? It doesn't matter. You can use Photoshop. You can use something on Google Drive, like these Pages programs, Microsoft Words, Illustrator, Affinity Designer, Inkscape, a piece of paper. I think you probably have to sign it if you do it on paper. All possible. You can send this like with the post office. You can send this as a fax. You can send it as an email. It's also legal. So it doesn't really matter. It just has to look like what I showed you. So yeah, that's it for today. A bit a strange video, but very important. Also, if you're like working in a professional fashion and you start talking about positions and adding tax and not adding tax, have professional invoices, it just makes a big difference in front of a client, and the client will directly think you're a professional and not some kid that just started out. Not try to like insult you guys, but that's how it looks often, even though you actually aren't in a lot of cases maybe. So it's always good to write an invoice, or at least know how to write an invoice. So that's it for today, and see you next time. Bye.